Welcome back. Now, there's been mixed reaction over the resignation of Mkuseli Apleni as the Director General of Home Affairs. Minister in the portfolio, Malusi Gigaba, announced his departure yesterday and praised him for increasing the department's annual performance targets by 64% over his tenure. And what's arguably the biggest controversy during his time, however, was the naturalisation of 5 members of the Gupta family. And Mr. Mkuseli Apleni joins us now to talk about his future prospects and, of course, his time at the Department of Home Affairs. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning to you, Sakin, as well as the viewers.
So, as we said, mixed reaction to your resignation. I saw Nahau, the COSATU affiliate, saying it's long overdue. The Democratic Alliance saying it's because of pressure that they have put on you regarding this Gupta situation that you are resigning. Yeah. And of course, there are those who are singing your praises. But what is the real reason for your resignation?
Yes. No, thanks, Alphonse, for the question. Yes, I joined firstly the Department of Home Affairs in 2009. And before that, I was working for other government departments. I've been in the public service now for 20 years. So when I joined Home Affairs, I joined it as a Chief Financial Officer. And when I was recruited, it was because of the financial difficulties which the department was facing. If you will recall, at that time it was having disclaimers, report from the Auditor General, and we're sitting about 2 billion rand of unauthorized expenditure, and then I was recruited exactly to do that. But again, in 1st April 2010, and then another opportunity presented itself for me to lead the department now as a Director General. So yes, at that time, it was very difficult for the department. You'll recall, we were called then horror affairs. So we had to sit down and say, what can we do to change the department to provide better services to our people, understanding that the Department of Home Affairs services, we can't get them anywhere else. If you need a birth certificate, you have to go to Home Affairs. If you need a passport, you have to do so. Even if a death certificate must be issued for a person, must go to Home Affairs. So to us, though it is an advantage to be in a monopoly, but to us it was a challenge. So the question was to say, how can we change that department? So the answer for us was to modernize. We believed that if now we are in a modernized, we are using technology, we will be able to change the department. So I think we have tried, but we have not yet finished everything, but at least the department is in a better position, both in financial management. You'll remember that we received the first unqualified audit report after 16 years in 2010-11, and then we still have to build it, and then now last year we've got another one, and we're hoping for a better one again this year. And the department now financially and as well as in terms of its delivery of services is in a better position. That's for sure. When you work, if you can't make a mistake, I don't, in the humankind, I've never seen a person who is just, even Mandela said, I'm not a saint. Mm-hmm. So it means now in the process, there will be mistakes or there will be points of disagreement. And by not agreeing, also it does not mean it is a mistake, just a different perspective. So I think we're also having those challenges. And even the issue which is mentioned about the Guptas, where I sit, I still believe that as a department, we did follow the right process in doing that. The only issue which we said is that when we were looking at why they were not meeting the requirement, which is by law, you can submit and say, because of these exceptional circumstances, I believe that I must be given this. So what we did not do was to go and verify whether this thing is like this, because we took it at face value, but it's something which we deal with it is in the hands of Parliament. But I believe that there was nothing untoward to us, or there was something we've got it in the pocket in order to do that. But we will deal with that issue at the right platform.
Okay, but you are leaving the department, and we still have questions around that as the general public.
Yes.
Because if I remember correctly, the first application there was actually turned down.
Yes.
And you actually turned it down. as the DG, if I remember correctly.
No, it was not even me. Remember now that in the department we've got delegations which are given at all the levels. So it was a certain person at a particular level who declined it on the basis that that person did not meet the requirement. But what is the provision in the law?
But you endorsed that.
No, it was not at my level. As I'm saying, that person had a full delegation, but there's a committee. That delegation took the decision and said this person does not meet the requirement. That is done. But now what is in the provision in the law? It says, if now I think the exceptional circumstances, I can approach now the minister, then based on the section 5.9 of the Act, then approach the minister, but again, as we explained, that thing goes back to the same unit who must process that and say, are these real exceptional circumstances? If they believe so, then they made a recommendation back to the minister. So that's what has happened.
It's good that you're here because you can clarify all the misconceptions we have about this thing. Because my understanding was, as you say, fair enough, there's a delegation process and someone at the requisite level actually declined that particular application. What was your role in that as the DG?
At that point, no role for me.
So at no point did Mkuseli Apleni say, you know, this is the correct decision to actually decline?
Exactly. No, we don't. It's exactly, if I can explain, it's the same process if you take our court process, that maybe you start at a magistrate court level and then you move to a higher court, you move to a Supreme Court of Appeal, you move to a constitutional court. Not other one, so it's based on that level. So it's exactly
Fair
the
enough.
same.
But I'm sure you're not hearing this for the first time as I am relating it to you. So why haven't you disputed that previously? Because I can't remember seeing that.
No, I was there. You remember, I was in Parliament in June. I presented that case completely in all what we followed, and I disputed what was a wrong conception. And if you remember, people did accept in general what was our what we put on the table. The only issue which we said were two matters then was that, remember, there was an issue that we did not report that in Parliament. And then we said, no, it was not only that case, there were others. Then the second issue was this matter to say, when Minister was considering the matter of saying it is in special circumstances, which in the law it does not prescribe and say exceptional circumstances is ABCD. You remember we said the Guptas were not the only family which has been naturalized. We've got people who are players, and then if you are a player, then we consider that, okay, it is an exceptional circumstances. Or you are a business person, you are working for Coca-Cola, and we said we are in exceptional circumstances. Guptas are business people, as we know at that time, that they were involved in the television, they were involved in their mines and all that. So they were having those businesses. Then based on that, that was considered as an exceptional circumstances.
So as far as that report goes, as far as you go, are you satisfied that that is closed and everything was done by the book in that regard?
Yes. In terms of the processes, remember I said I still believe that we followed the right processes, won't be found at fault as far as the processes which we followed. The only issue now will be to test when they said the exceptional circumstances, we employed 7,000 employees. Remember, that's what they said, that we have employed 7,000 employees. Two, they said we had businesses with a value of about 25 billion. Thirdly, they said we did sponsor people about 1 million rand. Also, they participated on something with Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's what they said, which now we considered as an exceptional circumstances. But what we are saying we did not do is to go now and say, let's check if you are 0.7,000.
Why didn't you check?
To do that. It's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying is what we normally do, because people, they just come to us and based on what we know at first value. I mean, if somebody at that, but let's leave now the controversies which we know, but at that point, if somebody said to us, as you know, that in fact, let's take the employees. How many employees were appointed by the Gupta family into their television unit, how many people were appointed at mines and all that.
But did you not have the duty to check the veracity of those claims?
Yes. What I'm saying is that because we're dealing with a lot of those, not only them, we're not doing that. We're saying, okay, that's what people have said. We understood how they were running the business, and that's what was accepted.
But is that general practice? If I come to you and I say I employ 50,000 people and I have connections with this, I've sponsored that or the other, are you not going to check my claim?
Yes, we check, not in totality. For instance, if now we checked with SARS, as an example, that's what we did. SARS gave us a certificate that these people, businesses are paying tax. 2, we know that the television station as well, we knew that it was Gupta. We knew that the Guptas are having in their minds and all that. So it's something which
But that doesn't absolve you from the responsibility of testing the veracity of the claim.
Yes, that's what we're saying. That's what we did not do. We never said we have done it. It's us who said so, that we didn't do it. We couldn't lie.
So having not done that, can you honestly sit here and say that you actually did everything by the book?
Yeah, that's why we said it's on record. That's what we said. It's us who said we never tested that.
So in other words, then, the entire process was not done by the book as it should have been done.
Yes, but also I was saying that in our law, if you look at, there's nothing which said you must do this and do that and do that. But we took it, that is normally when people said that, we don't, remember now Home Affairs get, how many applications do we get? So we do some testing and not in totality. That's why I'm saying when we looked at that, we know what those companies was. Or it's like now a person who comes to us and say, I'm working for Coca-Cola, and then now we know why he's working there, then it's fine. But we don't go maybe and say, hey, let's go and check what is the status of Coca-Cola and other, because of the company which now you are making it. Remember these things, you also do it on a sample basis. And there's a point of a credibility as well of a particular organization or an individual.
That's a different kettle of fish, because since 2013 already, there have been many controversies reported around the Gupta family. But I want to take you to something else around that, which is one of their former employees who wrote a book about what was happening with the Gupta family, actually makes some very damning allegations against the Department of Home Affairs in terms of how they actually, issued permits to people, work permits for people who came from India to come and work for the Gupta family.
Yeah. Well, we said, you remember, those things are still going to be tested. As we said that if there are things like that, because remember, it's not issued by the department, as you said, then if there is an individual in the process we have done something wrong, that person will be taking the responsibility.
Did the Guptas enjoy special treatment from Home Affairs during your directorship?
No. We have dealt with everyone equally. There is no special circumstance which was given to Guptas by us. It was what was given to anybody else in the department.
And where you headed off to now, Mr. Apleni?
Yeah, well, now I'm joining a banking industry. I will be joining a Discovery Group, and then in the Discovery Group, they are now be launching a bank, and then I will be now joining them in that portfolio.
Mr. Mkuseli Apleni, thanks so much for stopping by. And of course, we wish you well in your future endeavors. And that, of course, the former Director General of the Department of Home Affairs, Mr. Mkuseli Apleni, and thanks to him for chatting to us this morning. And you're always welcome to send us your views on whatever we talk about at Morning Live SABC. And it's time now for the latest news.